But this issue's been creeping up for years with its problems with Muslims. You can criticize Islam. It's about doing it responsibly. Like, don't pick and choose facts and cherry pick facts to define us by our worst examples. We don't want that. No minority group wants that. So that's our fight against that. Not about criticizing the practice of the faith in certain countries like Saudi Arabia. Women can't drive. That's outrageous. That's the only Muslim country out of 47 Muslim majority countries that does that. Why allow that to define us? Why allow radicals in certain parts of the world to define us? That's what we're fighting against.
All right, joining us now is Dean Obeidallah, columnist for the Daily Beast, political comedian. Welcome, Dean. Welcome back.
Thanks, Steve. I'm looking forward to it. What are we going to yell about today?
Oh, well, I don't know. I'm struck by what you said there. You bring up women in Saudi Arabia, women can't drive. That's the least of women's problems in these Muslim countries and Sharia countries. If they're raped, they need 10 witnesses. They stone gays to death. I mean, you know, bringing up women can't drive and saying that, well, Saudi Arabia is only one of a certain handful that do it, as if everything else is rosy. Why don't you just admit that and these aren't radical, these are countries, entire nations, that claim that they are following Islam to the letter of Islamic law as Muslims.
Give me an example.
These aren't even the terrorists we're talking about.
I'm with you to have a discussion about oppression of women in certain Muslim countries, and I'm absolutely against it. It's abhorrent, and I'm with you. So if you want to talk about specific countries, like Saudi Arabia is the only Muslim country, or the only country in the world, frankly, that prevents women from driving, and also one of the few that requires them to cover up, which I also think is wrong. And when you talk to most Muslim scholars, and I'm not a Muslim scholar, but I've read things from them, who will tell you there's nothing in the Quran that either bans women from driving or mandates that they completely cover up. So that's about oppression of women by certain men who want to do that. So I'm with you, Steve, on that. If you want to say...
What is then tell us where Sharia law came from.
Sharia law is... Well, just so we'll clarify one thing. There is no Sharia law like we have a U.S. Constitution that you can go to. Sharia law is interpreted and imposed in certain countries. It just means law based on the Quran. So the more liberal the leaders of the country might be, Sharia law might be different. In other countries, it might be more conservative. So there's not one document that says this is Sharia. It's the interpretation of the Quran by certain leaders in countries who then impose it. That's what it really is.
And the ones who kill gays and force women to have 10 witnesses if they're raped, and prevent women from doing everything, and you know, believe that you know, no alcohol, no gambling, and if you don't convert, you get killed. All this under various forms of Sharia law. You said that comes from the Quran.
It's an interpretation of it by certain people. They could be misplaced. There's no Muslim country I know where you're killed if you do not convert to Islam. ISIS does that, but ISIS also kills more Muslims than anybody else. So ISIS is full of crap. They just kill people for power. The thing with women, the oppression of women, if you have certain specific countries, you're going to have things that are ridiculous. You go to countries like Turkey, you don't have it. Indonesia, the most populous Muslim country in the world, you don't have those kind of laws that codify women have to dress a certain way or they can't hold certain positions. So you have a real divergence. And again, what you're saying is so much more responsible than what Bill Maher said, who's a liberal. If you want to say, like, let's go through each of these countries, I'm happy to go through it and say, this is right or this is wrong. This is just my opinion. I'm not.
But Bill Maher, but I forget if it was Bill Maher or not, and we may have touched on this last time you were on. And again, we have shorter segments these days, so I hope you understand that when we end our conversation abruptly in the middle of an argument, it's not that I'm cutting you off because I don't want to hear you. But Bill Maher pointed out country after country after country after country, and even the Palestinians. But overwhelming majorities favor, when asked, should people be killed for leaving the Muslim religion? And the answer is yes. How sick and twisted and dangerous is that?
On a scale from 1 to 10? I mean, how do you want me to rate it, Steve? Here's the reality.
Well, yeah, give me on a scale from 1 to 10.
No, Egypt has, in the poll...
No, give me on a scale. You asked me. How sick, twisted, and dangerous is it?
We have to go through each. First of all, if you're not Muslim, I mean, the idea, first of all,
Dean, you asked me how I wanted you to rate it based on my question. And I'll take you up on 1 to, wait a minute, I'll take you up on 1 to 10. So what is it?
It depends on the country. I think it's alarming.
No, not the country, the concept of being killed if you leave the religion.
That concept is not in Islam. The Quran says, and I'm not an expert, but one of the essential principles of Islam is.
I'm talking about the people in the countries. This is what they believe.
These are.
I'm saying.
Right. But Steve, let me finish one thing. You're talking about, okay, one poll, 64% Egypt. That's alarming. 64% say you leave Islam, you should be killed. Turkey, equally 80 million Muslims, same amount as Egypt, 2% agree with that. So who defines Islam?
I don't. That's not even the point. You know what? You know what? If you could find me one Jew or one Christian in this country that would say, yeah, if you leave our religion, you should be killed, I think that would be major news. So I'll ask again, not depending on the country. I don't know if it's in the Quran or not, or if it's in Islamic law.
It's
I'm stating that the people. Why won't you? You said to me, how should I rate it?
I said 1 to 10, Steve. I can't judge that. Here's what I'm going to say, so everyone hears this.
Wait a minute. Wait. Dean, do you not have a moral compass?
Of course I have a moral compass. What I think it's horrible.
You can't judge how outrageous something is?
I think something's outrageous. I can't put on a scale from 1 to 10.
All right, I got to go. Dean Obeidallah, ladies and gentlemen, got to go. The Malzberg panel will rejoin us after the break. But first, we check in on the Wisconsin gubernatorial race with our countdown to the midterms.
The Wisconsin gubernatorial race has the GOP hanging on to the edge of their seats. That's because the incumbent Republican Scott Walker's bid for re-election isn't just about 2014, it's about 2016. Walker is toying with the idea of a presidential run, but his first-term agenda, particularly limiting the collective bargaining rights for state employees, did not sit well with some voters. So much so, opponents organized a recall. He survived, the only governor ever in U.S. history to do so. His victory set a policy precedent for Republicans, which is why if Walker can't pull out a win in his home state come November, any chance for him to make a presidential run in 2016 is dashed. To keep that possibility alive, Walker's next challenge is to get past Democratic gubernatorial rival Mary Burke. Burke is keeping this race extremely close. A major point of contention, jobs. Everywhere she goes, Burke is quick to point out Walker didn't deliver the jobs he promised during his 2010 campaign. Walker ran on a pledge to create 250,000 jobs in the Badger State during his 4 years in office. Didn't happen. Still, Wisconsin's employment numbers are better than the national average. Burke says her jobs plan reaches across the aisle, and if she wins, jobs will be the first thing she sits down with Republicans to discuss.